I still can't believe what was hiding inside that ordinary-looking taco shell, a plastic straw. As I started disassembling it, I didn't realize until the end just how carefully crafted this little edible package was. The crunchy lettuce, the juicy tomatoes, the savory beef all seemed like they belonged in some sort of culinary symphony. But then there were the things that made no sense at all: the faint scent, something artificial clinging to every surface. The faint sheen on the tortilla that hinted at a treatment I'd never seen before. One question kept nagging me as I pulled apart the layers. What could possibly justify using such cheap materials in an item meant to be eaten? It wasn't like we were talking about some sort of disposable utensil here. This was supposed to nourish us, bring people together. But it turned out that wasn't even the worst part. As I continued to tear apart the shell, I stumbled upon something that really broke me. A tiny microbead nestled deep in the crevices, its surface coated with a substance that seemed almost edible. Now, I know what you're thinking: how could this possibly be related to our meal? But bear with me for just a little longer. As I dug deeper, literally and figuratively, it became clear that this taco was more than just a snack. It was an experiment in food technology. The microbead, the artificial scent, the treated tortilla all seemed designed not just to taste good, but also to create a very specific effect on our bodies. And I'm not talking about the obvious things like weight gain or sugar crashes either. But then there were the numbers, or rather, the number that still doesn't add up. According to the packaging, this particular brand of taco shells had gone through an average of 3 separate processing stages before landing in my pantry. Now, I don't know much about food manufacturing, but even to a layperson like me, it seemed suspiciously high. As the pieces continued to fall into place, one thing became clear. We're living in a world where companies are quietly experimenting on us with our food, and it's not just about making things taste better. It's about creating products that can manipulate our biology, our emotions, and even our perceptions of reality itself. But what really got me was when I discovered the real reason behind this sinister experiment: to create a new kind of loyalty among consumers. And it wasn't about rewarding us with special deals or free merchandise. Either it was something much more insidious. They were creating an invisible bond between us and their products, one that went far beyond mere convenience or taste. I still don't know if I'd do it again, would you? But I have to admit, the next time I bite into a taco, I'll be thinking about those tiny microbeads, the artificial scents, and the treated tortillas. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they're counting on. I've been thinking about this experience for weeks now, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. The more I think about it, the more I realize how pervasive this manipulation is in our daily lives. We've all heard of the term gut feelings, but what if those feelings are being manipulated by something as simple as a taco? I decided to dig deeper and find out what other companies were doing with their food products. And let me tell you, it's not just about adding flavor or texture, it's about creating an emotional connection between us and the food we eat. I started reading up on some of the latest research in the field of food psychology, and what I found was staggering. Apparently, our brains are wired to respond to certain scents, flavors, and textures in a way that can be almost Pavlovian. And it's not just about the taste, it's about the associations we make with those foods. For example, think about the smell of freshly baked bread. It's not just a pleasant aroma. It's also tied to memories of comfort, warmth, and security. But what if I told you that some companies are using this knowledge to their advantage? They're creating products that trigger those exact same associations, but with a twist. Instead of using traditional ingredients, they're incorporating synthetic compounds that mimic the effects of our favorite foods without actually tasting like them. It's like eating a placebo, but for your brain. I was amazed when I discovered that some popular restaurant chains were using this technique to create memory-based meals designed to evoke feelings of nostalgia and warmth in their customers. But here's the thing: these meals aren't just about the food itself. They're also about the experience we associate with them. And then it hit me. What if our beloved tacos weren't just about the ingredients, but about the experiences we tie to them? What if the reason we love a particular taco joint is because of the memories we've made there, not just the taste or the quality of the food? It's a game changer, folks. Suddenly, the notion that companies are manipulating our emotions and perceptions through food doesn't seem so far-fetched after all. I've been thinking about making some changes to my own eating habits since this whole experience. I started by asking more questions at the restaurants I visit, not just about the ingredients, but about the inspiration behind their dishes. And what I found was fascinating. Even the most seemingly innocent meals have a hidden agenda behind them. Take, for example, that popular taco chain with the artisanal tortillas. It turns out they're using a specific type of corn flour that's been specially treated to enhance its flavor and aroma. But what caught my attention was the story behind those tortillas, how they were inspired by the owner's grandmother's recipe from Mexico. It's a heartwarming tale, but one that also raises some red flags. You see, when we associate food with memories and emotions, we're not just talking about taste. We're talking about our very sense of identity. And that's exactly what these companies are counting on, to tap into our emotional connections and use them against us. It's a clever strategy, but one that also raises some disturbing questions. What happens when we start to realize that our favorite foods aren't just about taste or convenience, but about the subtle manipulation of our emotions? Do we continue to support these companies? Or do we take a step back and reevaluate our relationship with food? And what does it say about us as consumers if we're willing to compromise our values for the sake of a good meal? It's a complex issue, to be sure, but one thing is certain. Once you start looking at the world through this lens, nothing will ever taste the same again. As we dissected the layers of our taco, we stumbled upon something that made us all stop in our tracks, a small, almost imperceptible thread of synthetic silk. It was hard to believe, but it seemed that the manufacturers had woven this material into the fabric of the tortilla itself. We couldn't help but wonder what the purpose of this added ingredient was. Was it meant to enhance the texture or perhaps even affect our mood? The more we examined it, the more questions arose. How widespread is this practice among food companies? And what exactly does this thread do to our bodies when we consume it? As we continued to unravel the mystery, we encountered another surprise. Hidden within the shredded cheese was a tiny piece of metal, a microscopic chip, that seemed out of place in something as innocent-sounding as a snack. We couldn't help but think back to all those times we devoured tacos without giving it a second thought, never once suspecting that our food might be harboring secrets. It's one thing to talk about the manipulation of taste buds, but this was on a whole different level. It raised questions not just about what we eat, but also about who is controlling what we consume and for what purpose. And as we stood there, staring at the mangled remains of our taco, it dawned on us that the truth might be even more unsettling than we could have ever imagined. Our food may not be just nourishing our bodies, but also programming our minds. As we continued to dissect the taco, the realization began to sink in that this was no ordinary meal. The chip's presence hinted at a world where food had become more than just sustenance. It had become a delivery mechanism for something far more insidious. We couldn't shake off the feeling that our snacking habits had been manipulated from the start, and we were starting to suspect that every ingredient in that taco was chosen with a deliberate intent. We started examining the lettuce more closely, its leaves crunching beneath our fingers as we peeled back the layers. At first glance, it seemed like any other store-bought green, but then we noticed something peculiar. A series of tiny, almost imperceptible lines etched into the leaves' veins. It was as if they'd been precision carved to serve some purpose other than just providing a fresh crunch in our tacos. The thought sent a shiver down our spines as we delved deeper into the lettuce's composition. We discovered that it wasn't just any ordinary lettuce, it was genetically modified, engineered with specific traits to enhance its nutritional value and shelf life. But what really caught our attention was the peculiar arrangement of its DNA sequence. It seemed to be encoded with a message, one that didn't appear to be related to the plant's natural growth patterns. We pondered the implications as we transcribed the code into a readable format. It spoke of a symbiotic relationship between food and consumer, where the former was designed to influence the latter on a profound level. The concept sent our minds reeling. Were our cravings being controlled by something as innocuous sounding as a lettuce leaf? And what did that say about the nature of our free will? As we dug deeper into the taco's components, we discovered more evidence of this phenomenon. Each ingredient, no matter how seemingly insignificant, was imbued with its own hidden agenda. The tortilla had been infused with microscopic nanoparticles to monitor digestion rates and nutrient absorption. The salsa contained a proprietary blend of flavor enhancers that subtly altered our taste preferences. Even the humble tomato was engineered to release specific enzymes when eaten, which in turn could affect mood and cognitive function. The cumulative effect of these findings left us questioning everything we thought we knew about food. Was it possible that every meal, no matter how ordinary seeming, contained hidden agents designed to shape our thoughts and behaviors? And if so, who was behind this grand experiment? And what did they hope to achieve by manipulating the very fabric of our diet? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over our makeshift laboratory, we found ourselves at a crossroads. We could continue down the rabbit hole, unraveling more secrets about the taco's mysterious components, or we could take a step back and ponder the enormity of what we'd discovered so far. The choice was ours, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever look at food the same way again. As we pored over the data, a name kept popping up in connection with these mysterious ingredients: Oscar Mayer's. That's right, the iconic hot dog brand, known for its colorful packaging and catchy slogans. But what did they have to do with our taco? We dug deeper, and found that Oscar Mayers had been involved in a shady collaboration with various food manufacturers, trading secret recipes and proprietary spices in exchange for. Well, that's still unclear, but here's the kicker. One of these partnerships dated back to the 1970s, the same era when researchers began experimenting with psychoactive compounds in everyday foods. Coincidence? We think not. It seemed our taco was just the tip of the iceberg, a small but telling piece in a much larger puzzle, one that threatened to upend everything we thought we knew about food, science, and perhaps even society itself.